Coming up in the morning edition, the House of Assembly to debate land resolution. A government consultant tells us how to prevent blacklisting. And it's official. One family in the Valley Boys have won the Boxing and New Year's Day Junu parades. It's Wednesday, the middle of the week, and the weekend is now in clear sight. Good morning and welcome to the Morning Edition. I'm LaDawn Davis. And joining us live here on the Morning Edition to tell us how things are shaping up weather-wise is Chief Meteorologist Basil Dean. Good morning, Basil.
Good morning, LaDawn. We woke up to patchy clouds courtesy of the ZS Tower Cam, which is overlooking the harbor area there. And as we go to our satellite picture, you can also see that we are experiencing those patchy clouds, but there is a mat or a sheet of cloud just to the east of us. Some of that will be advected inland during the course of the day, rendering some cloudy intervals as well. But outside of our studios, we have partly cloudy conditions, temperature a cool 70 degrees, relative humidity at 68%, east-southeast winds at 16 miles per hour, the barometric pressure 1,025.1 millibars, that is 30.27 inches, and it is steady. Temperatures around the islands this morning, Greentoll Key at 61 also in Freeport, Grand Bahama, Marsh Harbor 62 degrees, the Berry Island 64, 63 in Allenstown, Bimini, in Harbor Island 72 in Rock Sandy, Lutra, Otterstown, Canales, Daniel Key, Kemps Bay, South Andros, and Fresh Creek in Central Andros. As we take you into San Salvador and Arum Key, more 72s there, 75 in Clarencetown, Long Island, Crooked Island, Betsy Bay, Maguana 74 in Acklands, Ragged Island at 75 degrees, Matthew Tiny Nago 75, also the Turks and Caicos Islands at 75 degrees. Your boating forecast for today in the Northwestern Islands, southeast winds at 15 to 20 knots to wave heights. They're going to be around 4 to 7 feet over the ocean. High tide 9:18 this morning, low tide at 3:45 in the afternoon. For the central and southeastern islands today, 20 to 25 knots out of the southeast. Wave heights very rough at 7 to 10 feet over the ocean. Advisories are up for your boaters in the central and southeastern Bahamas. That's going to do it for your first look at Weather the Morning Edition. Stay tuned. Your forecast for today and tonight is still ahead.
Thanks a lot, Basil. Meanwhile, traffic reporter Sieska Adderley is standing by with traffic police to tell us what's happening on our streets. Good morning, Sieska.
Good morning. This morning's traffic report, we're coming to you live from University Drive. Now, every one of us has a smartphone, and it could be the go-to accessory, but it's not something that police want to be the case when it comes to driving. But before we even get to that, Sergeant Jerron Thompson is going to tell us how we fared overnight traffic-wise. Good morning, Sergeant Thompson. How are you?
Good morning to you. Good morning, Bahamas.
Okay, now let's talk about if there were any incidents overnight that we should be aware of as the motoring public.
In the last 24 hours, we had a total of 12 accidents, 3 of which involved accidents with injuries, nothing major. And we had a total of 246, 2 hit-and-run accidents.
Okay, now Sergeant Thompson, for the last 2 days, it's been 11. So, I mean, like you said, it may not be major accidents, but we're still seeing an increase. So why do you think motorists are not heeding to our daily cautions and warnings?
I believe motorists are not heeding because persons just do what they want to do. Some persons are very stubborn in that way. They believe they can do anything. But we know without order, there'll be chaos. So that tells us that we have to increase our enforcement efforts.
All right, so Sergeant Thompson, is this little handy device some of the reasons that we get into these traffic mix-ups?
I would dare to say that that is one of the major contributing factors to most of our accidents. Persons, they would be texting and driving, getting these sweet texts or WhatsApp, video calling, Facebook, everything.
And what's the danger of that, Sergeant Thompson? It may sound, logical, but really, what is the danger in doing that?
The danger of that, these streets are very busy. We have a lot of pedestrians, a lot of motorists. And when you start to text, you start to go into the phone and you start to swerve in into the next lane or off the road. And you could potentially hit someone or run into another vehicle. These are the dangers of texting and driving.
All right. Thank you so much, Sergeant Jerron Thompson. And while these may be handy, it's not so handy for us out on the streets, whether driving or walking. So beware, everybody. Back to you in the studio, LaDawn.
Thanks a lot, Sieska. The government will seek approval for the conveyance of 1.2 acres of land in the Fox Hill community under a resolution to be introduced in the House of Assembly later this morning. The land will be developed for the sale of service lots and is part of the government's commitment to develop new subdivisions to address the demand for affordable housing and home ownership. The focus of the Department of Housing is on installing the necessary infrastructure on land to be developed and sold at a cost to first-time homeowners in New Providence and the Family Islands rather than selling already constructed homes. Minister of Environment and Housing, the Honorable Ramon Ferreira, will lead the debate on the resolution. The president of the Clearing Banks Association, Gowan Bowe, welcomes the introduction of a credit bureau in the Bahamas. He told ZNS News on Tuesday that last week the Central Bank of the Bahamas announced its preferred party for the new system expected to bring accountability to consumers in terms of debt and credit ratings. Bowe was asked when he expects the credit bureau to come on stream.
I would expect that in the coming weeks that you will see that they have finalized that process, and then it'll become a project plan to implement, meaning one, the stakeholders, information providers, so the financial institutions and others that will submit information about your credit practices. Secondly, an engagement with the public in terms of educating them what it means. And then thirdly, what I'm going to call a project plan to integration, because institutions have to submit information, Credit Bureau has to submit back and provide information. So that's going to be what I'm going to call a longer-term project, not years, months, but I'm probably looking throughout 2019 to make sure that it's done properly with a solid foundation so that people, one, are prepared, two, understand what it's doing, and three, will benefit the whole credit underwriting process.
Expect more demands to be placed on the Bahamas and similar jurisdictions by the European Union and the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, despite meeting previous demands over and over again to avoid being blacklisted. Attorney and government consultant LaTonya Simonet-Tinker was asked if the Bahamas will join other Caribbean nations facing similar threats and presenting a united front to the Europeans.
Over many years, there's always been this effort to try and bring all of this region and countries that are similar together to fight this fight together. To no avail. They've not been as effective as they can be. So in that regard, you know, I think we have to continue to do that. But in the same token, the Bahamas still has to, on its own, determine what its best move is going to be in order to sustain itself. You know, we're competitors at the end of the day. And until we decide that, okay, we can compete, but if there's nothing to compete for, what's the point? We need to come together at some point and decide that we have to fight this fight together.
Simonet-Tinker, who has represented the Bahamas in talks with the OECD and the EU, was asked what she sees as their next demand on the region.
You have to constantly stay on board with what's happening next. When you see them have a meeting this year and they start to talk about something, you better believe in 2 years that's going to be an initiative. So you have to understand what these things mean. Like right now, they're talking about citizenship by investment. We don't have citizenship by investment. We have permanent residency by investment. But they're going to group all of that into one. And so now we need to look at what's possible for them to look at in that and try and reshape that to make sure that we don't get caught in that net.
Stay close. We've got more news right after this. You're watching The Morning Edition. Well, the One Family Warriors and the world-famous Valley Boys are officially the champions of the 2018 Boxing Day and 2019 New Year's Day parades. Although not yet released to the public, the official word has been handed down to Junu groups and the celebration and bragging rights began. The Junu Corporation of New Providence will hold a press conference later on today to officially inform the public of those results. Voice notes that circulated a week ago that pointed to untoward and corrupt behaviors of Junu judges are currently under investigation and have no reflection on the official results. Martin Luther King Day was celebrated in the United States on Monday with a federal holiday. The civil rights leader, who was assassinated in 1968, had a connection to the Bahamas, having visited numerous times, especially in Bimini. Last night, Bahamian Casey Bethel, the 2017 Georgia Teacher of the Year, spoke about Dr. King at the Alpha Phi Alpha Martin Luther King Lecture Series held at the University of the Bahamas. King was a member of the fraternity, as is Bethel. Bethel told the packed room that Dr. King's message of nonviolence and social action contains messages that continue to resonate today. Number 1, commit to education. Number 2, choose someone to emulate. 3, champion empathy. And 4, collective empowerment. Regarding the Dr. King and the Bahamas, Bethel notes that the 1960s there was a convergence of ideals, the goal of majority rule, and racial equality.
It's no coincidence. Martin Luther King did all that he did in 1965 and 66 and 67 and 68, and just 4 years later, we saw in our history the move towards Bahamian civic action and majority rule. Not just in the Bahamas, but all across the world, but certainly in the Bahamas, there were leaders everywhere who draw their courage from the courage that Martin exemplified. Had he not done what he had done, the question lies whether our leaders would have done what they had done to push back against the oligarchy, the totalitarian rule of the Bay Street Boys, and so that you and I can have the freedoms that we have in our very own country. So he had a deep connection to the Bahamas. We know the history of Martin Luther King. We know why he's important to the Bahamas. The question next is his message relevant today? I mean, it's 2019.
The Sir Victor Sassoon Heart Foundation was established in 1961 by Lady Sassoon as a tribute to her husband following his death. It was established to assist Bahamians with heart disease. Now, Deidre Maycock of the Heart Association is in studio with us to talk about the foundation and its needs. Deidre, welcome to the Morning Edition.
Welcome. It is my pleasure to be here with you this morning to speak about what the Bahamas Heart Association is doing. Well, as most persons would know, February is Heart Month, and every year we celebrate a number of events to highlight heart disease. Now, just for information, heart disease is the #1 killer of persons worldwide. And Bahamians are no exception, and even I think it's even more so of an issue for us because of our eating habits. So as the Bahamas Heart Association, we are the educational arm of the Sir Victor Sassoon Heart Foundation, so we're out there to take this month to educate persons on heart disease and how to prevent themselves from having heart disease. One of the things that we do, our initial event for the year, one of them, as education, is to have our CPR event, which is being held on the 9th of February at the University of the Bahamas. And at this event, we will be having practitioners who can show persons how to prevent an emergency from, a catastrophe from happening, somebody dying if they're on the beach, how to give CPR to prevent the person from demising. So those kinds of events. We're having a number of things, and on February 14th we'll be having a Go Red for Women's Day, where we encourage persons to recognize that heart disease is the #1 killer of women worldwide, and to purchase a pin in recognition of that, and to wear red and also their pin. Now, we know everybody's going to be wearing red on Valentine's Day, but we want persons to focus also on the fact that women are the #1 persons for dying from heart disease. And then on the 16th, February 16th, we have the hardball. Many persons are aware of that, and that is our major fundraiser, the foundation's major fundraiser. And what we want to do is encourage the corporate community to partner with us, because like I said, that's our #1 fundraiser, and 97 cents out of every dollar that is raised from any event that we have, whether it's a $1 day that we're going to also have during the month of February, or our walkathon or the hardball, 97 cents out of every dollar goes towards mending the heart of a little child who was born with a heart disease.
So talk to me about the local impact that the foundation is having on, I guess, assisting families that have issues with their children with
right.
heart disease.
A lot of kids have been, for some reason, were born with a hole in the heart or holes in their heart. And the Bahamas for Heart Foundation, what do we do is, if the family are not able to financially support the children's medical expenses, that persons can reach out to the Bahamas Heart Foundation, and they would fund the surgery or procedure that the child needs. Now, one of the good things about that, and it affects the community, is that this money is expended and it does not have to be paid back to the Heart Foundation. Now, all we really ask is that the benefactors of the Bahamas Heart Foundation return and give service, and that has been a problem.
And speaking of finances, is Corporate Bahamas actually fulfilling its mandate or the needs of the foundation?
I can't say yes and I can't say no, but I would say to you that we need more assistance. The hardball is on the 16th, and we want to encourage persons to partner with us, because the numbers of children being born with diseases, they've increased. And that means and when a person is in need, they're coming to someone who's going to give them some kind of assistance. So therefore, the demand is even greater on the foundation. So we're encouraging the corporate world to partner with us to assist where in need. And like I indicated, that is one of our events. And listen, you can come and have fun, and you can even dance and get your heart regulated, because we're going to have a number of bands. The event is going to be held at the Bahama, and it's $275 per person. But corporate world can also partner with us and purchase a table. And our most important event for the Bahamas Heart Association is our Moonlight Walk, Sunset Walk, and that's going to be held on the 23rd of February. And we're asking persons, companies, to partner with us and come and walk with us on a Saturday at 6 p.m. and just take a nice stroll with us.
TG Maycock, thank you so much for joining us here on the Morning Edition.
Thank you very much.
And best of luck to you and members of the Heart Foundation.
Thank you very much. It is my pleasure.
Stay close. Sports is up next. You're watching the Morning Edition.
Good morning and welcome to Sports on the chilly Wednesday morning. I'm Charles Fisher. Imagine private schools having to play on the outdoor court. Well, that was the situation yesterday as the Queens College Comets took on the Big Red Machine of SAC in some really cold conditions, and it showed with the shooting back and forth. But this one will go to the Comets 24-15. They now improved to 4-0 on the season. Coach Ruben Monks Jr.
It's a tough day to play basketball outside. It's windy, it's kind of chilly, so the boys took a little longer to get warmed up. But once we got warmed up, it pretty much just an execution type of game.
Rock GSSA regular season play winding down at the AF Ali Gym. Young Tigers prepping up for the playoffs with a second half spurt coming from behind to deal with the Lions of H.O. Nash 47-32. Coach Anton Francis on the adjustments.
Really and truly, I had to tell the young man, listen, we can't take anything for light. Y'all came out here thinking that, well, we only lost to them by 2 points at Father Martian, that when we come out here tonight, that, we practice hard, we prepared for them. They lost one of their very good players to another private school. And, most of the guys were feeling like, okay, when they lost that player, that, we have a good chance of winning and winning by a big margin. So they came out really flat. That wasn't the game plan. The game plan was to jump on them right away, move the ball around, work our press, and take high percentage shots.
Let's now bounce to the Bahamas Scholastic Association. They were outside, bouncing as well. Senior boys putting up the rock was Sheriff Academy, running with Mount Carmel. This one would go right down to the wire with Sheriff closing things out 29-26.
For the most part, they really played deep. Because in basketball, you really got to play deep to win game. Offense could carry you so far, but if you could stop the oppositions, you could very well get a win. And I was glad the guys came out of the win tonight. They really pushed.
Now let's go to some baseball, where Freedom Farm hosted the Metropolitan All-Stars out of Virginia on the weekend to a series of games Saturday and Sunday. The Bahamas playing good against the visitors. Coach Greg Burris Jr. wanting more like this to happen for our youngsters.
I think it was a good thing. I think it's the beginning of something that Freedom Farm has been thinking about for a while. And I think with the group of people at the helm now controlling what happens here, I think we're going to see a lot more teams come in and be able to see our kids perform against international talent.
Well, that's going to put a wrap on Sports Wednesday. I'm Charles Fisher. Thanks for watching and have a good day.
In our final look at weather satellite pictures showing an area of showers with some thunderstorms in it as well. That's being advected towards the east and could bring some showers to parts of the northwest Bahamas today. There's also a secondary batch right here to the southwest of Cuba. That's also being advected towards our direction, and that will bring some showers and thunderstorms to parts of the northwest Bahamas tomorrow morning and afternoon. Our forecast for today calls for partly sunny and breezy conditions, slight chance of a passing shower, high temperature getting up to 76 degrees, and tonight we're looking at partly cloudy and breezy with a shower or two popping up late in the night and during the early morning hours, your low temperature getting down to 70 degrees. And the extended weather forecast, a bit of the wet stuff right into Friday. Frontal system heads into the northwest Bahamas on Friday. That will push through and start backing up on Sunday as a warm front before pushing through again on Monday, making that final push towards the south and east. That's when we'll start to see temperatures plummet into the mid-70s during the daytime, getting those nighttime temperatures into the 60s. LaDawn?
Thanks, Basil. Well, that's going to do it for the morning edition. Make sure to join us this evening at 6 p.m. for our 2-hour newscast. I'm LaDawn Davis. Have a great day.